called dark horses any longer. I know,
true.
but it's early, right?
It is very early.
Let's see. But it's late for us because we're out of time. Thanks for being with us. I'm Nick Charles.
And I'm Fred Hickman. The news continues.
So does the music.
Coming up, Moneyline, followed by Newsnight after this local commercial break here on CNN.
Take the easier way. Choose Medicab Pharmacy. There's no hiking through crowded aisles, no waiting lines, no searching for the pharmacy counter. So instead of being pulled in all the wrong directions, make a right turn. Stay healthy with us. Medicap Pharmacy. For care, convenience, and savings, we're a healthy step in the right direction.
If you're looking for the best-built truck in America, we've got your number. If you've been looking for the most trouble-free full-size truck, we've got your number. And if you've been looking for the #1 truck 15 years running, we've got your number. The 1992 Ford F-150 S Special. But hurry, with a price like this, your days are numbered.
This is CNN.
From the world's financial capital, New York City, this is Moneyline with Lou Dobbs.
Good evening. Wall Street stocks on a wild ride today, and it was a round trip for investors. More than $100 billion of the market's value wiped out and then made back in a matter of hours. The Dow Jones Industrials plunged more than 100 points before noon, then surged 80 points by the close to end down just 21 points. The market whipsawed by economic and political uncertainty at home and abroad. Bill Dorman reports from Wall Street.
Wall Street opened Monday choking on losses of overseas markets. Tokyo's stock market fell more than 1%. London lost more than 4%. In New York, investors continued Friday's downward trend when the Dow lost nearly 54 points. Market players continue to focus on a weak economy, showing only sluggish growth.
I think what's happened is that there is a realization that this economic improvement that had been so hoped for, the recovery that was underway, is truly anemic, and we're seeing Wall Street analysts slashing their estimates in response to that.
Monday's market tumbled from the open. Futures-related pressure pushed the Dow down in early trading, charging beyond the initial circuit breaker of 50 points. After losing more than 104 points, the Dow staged a dramatic afternoon comeback, closing down nearly 22 points.
Another spectacular day on Wall Street, really. I don't know how else you could describe the kind of rally we had from really extremely pessimistic levels in the early going. I think it's a shock to everyone that the market was able to recover as much of the ground that it had lost early in the day.
Volume on the big board reached its highest level in 9 months, as more than 284 million shares were traded. Analysts and traders say pressure from overseas and a weak economic recovery are two culprits behind Monday's market movements. Two other events will influence the market's future: third-quarter earnings reports and the course of the presidential campaign. Bill Dorman, CNN Business News, Wall Street.
Early trading in Chicago at the Mercantile Exchange foreshadowed the events in New York. Within the first hour of trading, the S&P 500 futures dropped 12 points. That would equal just about 95 points on the Dow. That drop triggered one circuit breaker, but then fell short of setting off a second.
It stopped some of the panic selling, although when they reopened, we did sell more. But once we got close to the limit down, I think people realized that it's time to buy it. And
exchange officials credit circuit breakers with staving off a further drop in the Dow Jones Industrials. Well, this morning, when those big institutions went into the market to sell almost every stock in sight, small investors didn't panic. In fact, many took full advantage of the market pullback. Steve Young is here tonight with that part of the story for us. Steve?
Well, big players all had the same urge at the same time to shake up and purge their portfolios. Many small investors moved to capitalize on that massive reallocation of assets. In the face of the big sell-off, small investors in New York, Atlanta, San Francisco, and the rest of the nation stood their ground and even stepped up to the plate. When a Fidelity broker said the Dow was down 60, it sounded just fine to a customer.
Good day to buy.
6 Fidelity customers found it a good day to buy for every 4 that sold stock. At another discount broker, Quick & Riley, customers at first were rattled and the ratio of sell to buy orders ran 7-3. But when the market started to come back, investors regained their confidence.
We saw our investors coming back in, doing some bottom fishing, looking at the buying opportunities that many felt, existed as a result of this morning's early sell-off.
A Charles Schwab executive said small investors now believe when institutional elephants start to stampede, they can pick off special opportunities.
Eventually the market will come back, make new highs. It always has in the past.
I like stocks that have been hit pretty hard, like drug stocks. I think medical care is going to be the big thing in the next 4 or 5 years, regardless of who is elected.
Small investors also favored other industries beaten up more than the rest, like high-tech. Many small investors said Monday they expect more economic pain that could undermine the stock market no matter who is elected, but they couldn't resist a bargain. Lou?
That's what makes markets, right, Steve? Thank you. Well, one reason for today's wild swings in the market, Wall Street's growing apprehension about the uncertainties of this presidential campaign. Some say every fluctuation in the polls will now be played out on the trading floor. Kitty Pilgrim is here tonight. She has a report for us on the campaign's impact in the markets. Kitty?
Lou, part of the volatility today on Wall Street is being blamed on politics, with the campaign heating up. Some say it's natural the market should heat up also. Gloves are off.
Because George Bush has had the worst economic record of any president in 50 years.
You can't trust Clinton economics. It's wrong for you. It's wrong for America.
And many think political wrangling, especially over economic issues, is making the markets jittery. In general, Wall Street tends to favor Republican administrations. Some market watchers say Clinton's continued strength in the polls is finally unnerving investors.
I think the perception of a Clinton presidency is finally becoming a reality on Wall Street, unless there's a reversal as a result of the debates, and investors are starting to get nervous about what does that mean for the economy, what does that mean for the capital sector, what does it mean for taxes, for investment.
The latest CNN tracking poll shows Clinton's lead over Bush narrowing to 12% from 17% last week, and Perot at 10%. The latest Newsweek poll gives Clinton less of a lead, 8% versus 10% last week, and Perot at 14%. And a 3-man race adds to the uncertainty in the markets.
Whenever we have had a third-party candidate in this country, going back fully 100 years, it has been followed by a sharp downdraft in stock prices at some time fairly close to the election.
Many on Wall Street today were saying, hang on, with the upcoming debate schedule, we'll have more days like this ahead of us because the markets have a new factor to anticipate, discount, and react to, the 3 presidential debates. Lou?
Kitty, thank you. Well, the man who helped write Ross Perot's economic platform today gave the market something else to discount or react to. Eastman Kodak executive John White today endorsed Governor Clinton, saying he thinks now Clinton has an excellent economic plan. Well, concerns about the election and the stock market today had little effect on bond prices. The 30-year bond, in fact, closing just slightly lower, the yield rising to 7.34%. Some investors took refuge from the volatile stock market by buying Treasury bills. Good demand at today's auction, pushing T-bill rates to 30-year lows. The 3-month bill selling at 2.67%, the 6-month bill at 2.78. Investors did buy gold and gold mining stocks today as something of a hedge against volatility. Gold prices up about $2.50 an ounce. Gold stocks rallied early on. The biggest winner for the day was Newmont Mining, up 1 1/8, closing at 48 3/8. Well, coming up next on Moneyline, U.S. Air hit by a machinist strike and forced to cut back its service. We'll be telling you all about that, a whole lot more. Stay with us.
mastered this hostile, unrelentingly brutal world, only one comes with a horn. That works. The Land Rover Defender. A limited number of these highly evolved vehicles are now available at select Range Rover dealers.
From the files of the KGB, the CIA, Mossad, and others, shocking facts about espionage and deceit, even murder. Now, for just $4.95 comes Assassination, your introduction to Spies, the exciting new video series that sheds new light on the most shocking espionage events of our century, such as the explosive Sex for Secrets scandal involving top policymakers, how Israeli intelligence retaliates against terrorists, about JFK's secret espionage advantage, how super spy John Walker sold out his family, his country, all for money. Using rare footage and exclusive interviews, Spies reveals the identity of an unknown A-bomb spy who escaped unpunished. You'll see the secret spy weapons, the spies who seduce for secrets, and more. All in Spies. Yours for just $4.95. Call now for your first video, Assassination, for just $4.95. Spies is available only from Columbia House Video. Credit card orders only. Not available in stores. Call now.
A strike vote today against U.S. Air. Machinists manned the picket lines this morning in Pittsburgh. Flight attendants joined them later, but pilots are still working. The strike over wages and work rules, job security, knocked out about a quarter of the carrier's flights. U.S. Air stock knocked down by about 3/4. And U.S. Air stock, as I say, off about 3/4. And turning to, yes, those are cars. U.S. auto sales for September out today showing mixed results. Car and truck sales at Chrysler up 15%, Ford up slightly, General Motors down. Analysts note, however, that overall light truck sales were up 10%. And Marriott today announced plans to split itself into two separate companies. Marriott International will handle the lodging business, and Host Marriott will focus on real estate, toll road, and airport concessions. Marriott stock gaining 2 1/8 on the news of that split. Well, this morning's scramble to unload stocks pushed the Dow Jones Industrials under 3,100 at one point. The sector's hardest hit in early trading, economically sensitive stocks such as manufacturing, consumer product firms. Circuit breakers slowed the drop and opened the door for bargain hunters in the afternoon, but their buying was selective, helping blue chip stocks, but leaving less familiar shares near their lows. The Dow ended down 21.61, the Dow finishing at 31.79. That's the lowest level for the Dow since January 2nd. It is only 10 points above the closing level for the Dow in 1991. As I said, 286.5 million shares traded on the big board. Very heavy trading. Declining issues beating out advancers by a margin of just almost 4-1. The composite index fell 1.67. The S&P 500 dropped 2.90. The Dow Transports lost 6.44. The utilities fell 1.88. And the over-the-counter index, the NASDAQ composite index, closing at 565.21. Loss there of just over 1%, down 6.42. Volume, again, the most active trading session on the NASDAQ in 6 months, 223 million shares. The American Exchange Composite Index off 1.2%, 366.62 at the close, a loss of 4.62, volume just over 15 million shares. Tonight's Moneyline movers, Symantec plunging 3 1/4. The software utility firm saying revenue for the second quarter will be far below Wall Street expectations. The company expecting a loss for the quarter, in fact. Marvel Entertainment Group dropping 3 1/8. Barron's article quoted a stock picker as saying the comic book maker has lost its creative edge after much of its talent defected to competitor Malibu Graphics. That is at least the third negative article in Barron's on Marvel. Well, Lifecore Biomedical losing 10 3/4.